Hello friends, welcome to the course of PHP and MySQLi CRUD tutorial. Inside this video, we will continue edit employee functionality. If I back to browser, so inside last video, we had done the edit functionality, that is to get the single employee detail inside our update employee layout. So here we have our list employee layout. Here we have the action button of edit. So whenever we click on any of the edit button, on the basis of this ID value, we fetched the existing information of an employee. Now this time, inside this video, if suppose we update any of the existing information, click on submit. So after submitting, we need to update the existing data inside this database as well. Go back to editor. Let's go back to edit-employee.php. Now let's scroll to our form. So first of all, we need to pass our action attributes as well as the method type. So we want that whenever we submit our form with updated values, click on submit. So we need to collect the updated data into the same page and update inside our database. So we need to submit this form inside this page. So in action attribute, let's define PHP tag and we'll use the global variable called server, and inside this we will pass PHP self. And for the method type, we will use post request type. Let's put an ID of this form. So ID equals to frm-edit-employee. Now if you save these changes, go and reload this update employee form. Let's inspect that. Now inside form tag, we can see we have the action attribute, method type and ID value. Now go back to our editor. Now the next step, what we have to do, so whenever we submit this form, on the basis of this method type, we need to handle our event right here inside this PHP code. So what I will do, let's say if global variable called server, let's request method, request underscore method equals to post. It means form has been submitted. So in this case, we need to work with our update employee query. So what I will do, let's cut these variables, put here at the top of this request. Now this is all about to read the existing employee information. So what I will do, I will cut this code, put here inside this else block, put here inside this else block. Now here we have our if block which handles the form submission request, and here we have the else block which is handling to read our existing employee information. So this is form submission code. Here we have the variables which stores the values. Now let's define few variables which stores our error messages in case of this update employee form. If suppose we are not passing the value for this name, email, but as we know inside our database table, these fields are mandatory. So we need to give some error messages when we are getting our empty values. So let's define our error variables. So name underscore error equals to, let's say error, email equals to error. In the same way, phone underscore error, and final one we have designation underscore error. And all these variables now we are initializing with empty value. Now let's go back to our if block. So after form submission, if we want to get the value of name, so we need to fetch the name value with this name attribute. And here we have the name attribute as name. For email address, here we have email, phone, and here we have for the designation. Go back to our PHP code. So let's say that we have submitted our form. So this if block will be executed because of this post request type. Let's say name equals to, we'll use of PHP function called train, global variable called post, and here we have the name. Now if name is empty, let's suppose if name is empty, So in that case, we need to store our error messages inside this name underscore error variable. So copy that, paste it here. Let's say name field is required. So name field is required. So we need to repeat. This is for name. So I will copy and repeat for our remaining 3 fields. Paste 3 more times. This is for email. Next one we have called phone, and this one for designation. For this email, let's change to email. We will get inside this email, and whenever the email value is empty, we will store the email error messages inside this email underscore error variable, and we will call, let's say, email field is required. Now for the phone number, this will be phone, and here we have the name attribute. This is phone right here, coming from this variable called phone, and whenever phone is empty, we will store the error message inside phone underscore error. So put it here, not here, this will be here, and let's say phone number field is required. Now for the designation, here we'll have the variable, so I will copy this designation, put it here. Designation will be the name attribute as well. If you go and check here, designation. Now if suppose we are getting the designation as an empty value, so in that case the error messages will be stored inside this designation underscore error variable, and here let's say designation field is required. Now after implementing server-side form validation, if let's say if not empty inside this name, it means we have the name value, as well as not empty email, it means we have the email value. Not empty, let's say phone, and finally we'll have call designation not empty and designation. So if all these values are available, so in that case we need to run our update query. So inside this if block, let's say that SQL equals to, we'll write MySQL update query. So update, we need to pass the table name called table underscore employees. So update table name, we'll use set keyword, and then we need to pass our column and value pair. So first of all we need to specify the column name. So let's say name equals to question mark means placeholder, comma, email equals to placeholder, comma, phone equals to placeholder, comma, and the last column we have called designation equals to placeholder. So update table name set name equals to updated value, email equals to updated value, phone number equals to updated value, and designation. And finally we need to put our where condition. So where id equals to, this will be an employee id, and while execution of update query and delete query, you need to make sure conditions. Otherwise, whenever you execute the update query and you forgot to put the conditions correctly, so in that case update query will update all your database table rows. Finally, and also goes for delete query. If suppose you are executing any delete query and in the incorrect way you put the conditions, so in that case more number of rows will be affected. So while execution of update query and delete query, please make sure your query will be in correct way. So here id equals to placeholder. So we are updating this employee on the basis of this updated data. Now next we need to use our MySQL instance. So let's say if stmt, it means a statement, equals to MySQLi, we will use prepare method. We need to pass our SQL query. Now next statement will use bind param method, and here we need to pass our data types. So the first value here will be a string type, so s. Email is also the string value, second s. phone number, also string value, designation, and the fifth value what we are passing inside this query will be an integer, so it will be I. Now in accordance we need to pass our values as well, so this is for the name, email, phone, designation, and finally we'll have call employee ID. Now we need to execute that, so if stmt, we will use execute method. Now if query will be executed successfully, we need to go inside this if block. This will be our success block, otherwise we'll have some error, so this will be error block. In case of success block, let's go back to our same page, that is edit employee page. So header, we will use location, and here we need to pass the template file name, that is edit-employee.php. This will be the same layout, and also we need to pass the query string variable called id, question mark id equals to, and we need to pass our employee ID. So this is the redirection what we are setting once we update our existing information successfully. In case of error, simple, we need to redirect into our error page. So header, let's go back to location, and it will be error.php. Now if we save this change, go back to browser. For this ID number 2, let's say that I am updating this name and phone number. Click on submit, and I think that we are getting some error. Let's go back to editor. Now this is our update query. Here we are preparing our statement, binding our parameters, data type, name, and I think here we have the spelling mistake of name variable. Save this change, go and reload this page. Let's put this updated name value, click on submit, and again we have some error. Go back to editor. What I will do, let's echo all the values what we are getting. So name, I think there is some mistake in case of our values. Email, next we have called phone, designation, and after this designation we are getting employee ID. So let's copy and put it here. Let's put a die here. Save these changes, go back to browser. Let's go back, reload this page. I am passing this updated name value, click on submit. So we can see here we are getting the name, email, phone number, and designation. And here we are not getting any ID value, and this is because actually we are submitting our form to this action attribute. And if we go and reload this page one more time, inspect that and look at the action attribute of the form. So inside this form we can see we don't have any query string variable. Go back to editor. So here inside this action attribute we need to add our query string variable. So question mark id equals to, and here we need to pass our employee ID variable value. So we are getting employee ID into this URL. I will copy and we will put here, let's PHP echo, and this is our employee ID. Now save this change, go and reload. Now as we can see that inside this action attribute URL we are getting ID equals to 2. Now this time if we go and let's put updated value name, click on submit. Now as we can see that we are getting our employee ID value. Now let's go back and I will go and remove this echo and die here. Let's save these changes, go and reload. I am putting the updated value, updated phone number, click on submit, and as we can see that successfully after saving we are redirecting into the same page. It means data has been saved. Go to list employee. Now we can see that the second employee information now updated. Now we want to update the designation of this employee. Click on edit. Instead of SEO, we want web developer. Click on submit. Go back to list employees. Now we can see that web developer designation has been updated with this third number employee ID. So successfully guys, inside this video, now we have completed all about our edit employee functionality. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.